got some news for you here on Gardner-Johnson. Please hit the like button. Big Sills, thank you for coming aboard. Free agency is officially underway. It dropped during our show here, and we appreciate it. It's between the Broncos and the Eagles. Patrick Surtain and a bunch of the people are trying to recruit Gardner-Johnson to the Broncos. It's Broncos and Eagles. And it looks like the Broncos have offered more money. And the Eagles are still in it. So it's Broncos and it's Eagles. Last year, their defense was pretty good. Can you imagine Gardner-Johnson back there with Patrick Surtain too? Whew. I mean, so it's between those two teams there. So we shall see what happens here. Gardner-Johnson obviously is going to have, I was thinking potentially you could see Cincinnati doing something, but Cincinnati, I mean, when does Mike Brown ever sit there and when does Cincinnati ever pay anybody? And they got to pay their quarterback too. So they're in a financial situation here. Okay, so again, Broncos and Eagles. Those are the two teams that are, what I'm hearing, are battling it out for CJ and Gardner-Johnson. So we'll keep you updated on that. Real. I heard Bengals, but I heard Bengals, but Duke Tobin, they just don't open up the purse strings enough. Okay? They just don't open up the purse strings enough. So, yeah, and from what I'm hearing with Darius Slay, God, we got a ton of stuff there. We haven't even hit on the Rodgers stuff yet. So, as we said, we looked at the new defense that's going to come back in 2022. Who's replacing Bates? Yale. I think they're going to draft a guy. I mean, Bates is going to get that contract in Atlanta. Slade talking to Arizona, the Cowboys. I got to tell you something about, from what I'm understanding, do you want to hear what Dan Quinn's thinking in Dallas? I'm very close with the people in Dallas. They're talking of putting like Slay in a position where he would play in a safety role and move him. I don't know why more teams don't do that. Once you get a little long in the tooth, and I'm not saying that Slay's a hitter, and you got to be kind of a hitter and a physical guy back there because you're taking on bigger people. I'm not saying that works. But I've always been a fan of moving guys like Rod Woodson over from corner to safety position and try to get more years out of the guy like they did also with Ronnie Lott. I'm a fan of that. Okay? I'm a fan of that. And I agree, Eagle fan. I'm not saying that he'd be a guy that I would try to, but Dan Quinn's a pretty good defensive-minded guy. Remember, he was the architect of that Seattle defense up there. Now, look, all those guys, Cam Chancellor, all them dudes in the secondary, they were all hitters. I get it, and I'm with you. They were all hitters. They were all hitters. Slay's not a hitter. Okay? And look, just to go back, Darius Slay, once again, the Eagles wanted him to take a pay cut, and they wanted him to restructure his deal so they could move him. And Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey, his agent, said absolutely not. So the Eagles are forced in a position to release him. You want to hear something else that's crazy going on? Hey, Tone, you want to hear something nuts? So right now, as we speak, Lamar Jackson can negotiate with any team he wants. Now, he's a restricted free agent. They put that tag on him. That means that the Ravens will get 2 number ones if you do make that deal for him. But he can talk to any team he wants. Washington. He can go anywhere. Lamar Jackson can talk to the Dolphins. Lamar Jackson can talk to the 49ers. I mean, why wouldn't you package up Trey Lance and send his ass to Baltimore? It's almost the same guy. If you're the 49ers and you're John Lynch, why wouldn't you do this? I'll tell you what, I'll send you Trey Lance. And I'll tell you this, I'll send you Trey Lance, 2 ones for him, and I'll take Lamar. And then you pay him 50. Then again, it kind of impacts Nick Bosa, though, a little bit. Can't pay him because you got to pay all the rest of them. I agree. I think that's probably not happening because you got too many stars on that team. The same situation that the Eagles are in right now. Raiders, GT. How about this? Jets. Who would you rather have, Aaron Rodgers or a 25-year-old Lamar Jackson? I don't know. You know, you give me a 25-year-old MVP, right? Give me a 25-year-old MVP. You know what's funny? And N91 goes, Lamar botched his own dude, no way. I'm rooting for him. In a land where NFL contracts are not guaranteed and no players had really any guaranteed contracts, it said the guy in Cleveland, you should be rooting for him instead of those scumbag media people that constantly are taking shots at him. And I'm talking to Sean Watson for getting a guaranteed contract. What's wrong with you people? The NFL has gotten away with it for 100 years of not guaranteeing money. How would you like to go to work? You sign a contract with your boss, but he can fire you at any time, and you sign a 5-year deal, and he blows you out, and the only thing you get is your last paycheck. Would you like that? You sign a deal with your guy, good faith, 5-year contract, all guaranteed. What happens? Guy fires you 18 months and gives you 1 paycheck, and you're out the door. That's what the NFL has done for 100 years. You should be rooting Lamar Jackson on instead of vilifying him. You should be rooting him on. I mean, you look at guys like Ben Simmons, who gets a fully guaranteed contract in Philadelphia with the Sixers, and he sucked and he hated the place he worked at, but it must have killed Philly fans that you had to pay him $25 million a year and he hated you. You couldn't do anything about it. Should be rooting that guy on. Hey, if I was Lamar Jackson, I'd want to go to the NFC. How about if this, too? What if Dallas makes a play for him? I'll give you Dak for him, and I'll give you 2 ones. I'd do it. Cowboys are in cap hell, though. But then again, you're kind of moving contracts. Same way they move Golf and Stafford. I can't believe Lamar Jackson's on the open market. Good for him. Finally, a player has leverage. I'm rooting this on. I'm not vilifying it. Way to go. Finally, owners are held to and put their feet to the fire. Way to go, dude. I know you don't get that anywhere else because you know what you get? You get the people that were sitting in the stands again with the piece of paper and the pencil, taking shits on guys and players who are actually out there putting their hearts and souls into something. Guys like Shannon Sharp should be rooting Lamar Jackson on. Instead of sitting there going, well, you know, he's never going to get the deal that the guy in Cleveland got. You should be hoping for more of those deals, not less. I mean, right? Why are you rooting for the media guys to vilify? Has Lamar done anything wrong publicly? You know, the whole thing in the contract, maybe not playing in the postseason. Yeah, I got an ass with that. Okay, I get it. I'm with you on it. Seriously, though, that's a business deal. He's been a model citizen. That's a guy you want as the face of your franchise. It's a guy who plays hard every down. That's a guy you want to represent you. Be cooler, but they can't. Because what they do is to portray you as a money-grubbing athlete who has no brains. And get this. So what he wants to do his own contract. Well, you need an agent. No, you don't. If you know what you want in life, do you need to have somebody telling you what to do? GB can actually pull that off if they get 2-1s from New York. Green Bay is holding the deal up on Rodgers right now. They're the ones. I was listening to Aaron Rodgers today. He goes, it ain't me. I've already decided I'm playing for the Jets. If they want me, I'm playing there. Green Bay doesn't want me. See, Green Bay tried vilifying Aaron Rodgers to the fan base. That's what all organizations do. Eagles are just the same. Okay? And that's why they put certain media people in their back pocket. So they'll come out and give some sort of like rose-petaled like take on Rashad Penny, who was a failure first-round pick. And all of a sudden they turn this guy into Adrian Peterson. Give me a break. Guy's been a massive failure. Hence, that's why Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State was drafted in the second round a year ago. They didn't think shit of him. They knew he was always hurt. 11 starts in 5 years. But now he lands in Philly. The Inquirer and everyone else around the park looks at this as a great move. It's a nothing burger. I could see it. Zeke Elliott, I wouldn't give Zeke Elliott any money. Hey, I can't wait to see what the Giants, Saquon Barkley's now a free agent. As of right now, Saquon Barkley, 16 minutes into this, is a free agent. Holy shit. You better hope that guy don't land in Kansas City or Buffalo. This guy's going to have a lot of takers. Did they tag him today? Tagging a running back. $10 million bucks? Okay, he got tagged. Man, $10 million, $35 for the quarterback. Have they signed that deal yet in New York with Daniel? I think they did. So $45 million for the quarterback and the running back. Okay, but now they need some wideouts. They got the kid Waller. That's a good point. Let's go into the NFC East. Where do you think the Eagles are in the NFC East right now? Where do you think they are? Where do you think they are? Eagles, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys. Where do you think they are? Do the Eagles have the best offense in the division? Yes. Do the Eagles have the best defense? They're not better than the Commanders. They're not better than the Cowboys. They're probably as good as the Giants. So, who's the more balanced team in the NFC East? Cowboys. Quarterback. They got Pollard. O-line's decent. They put 40 on you last year. On a second-rate defense, not this thing that you have here, this makeshift defense. This pennies from heaven defense. That defense right there compared to what you had a year ago in talent, night and day. Hey, even if you address it in the draft, you don't know what that kid's going to do. You're hoping that he's Sauce Gardner. Steve goes like this. I'm hearing that they've agreed in principle, but not official yet. No, official is 4:00. That's why they're negotiating between the Broncos and Eagles. And I'm with you, Steve-O. I think there's a great chance he comes back. The Eagles do not have the best overall team in the division. Not close. Not close. Not close. Waller is a pickup, and I agree with Tone on this. Dude, he is a large human being. Large human being. Got to be healthy, though. Very productive. Couple 1,000-yard seasons when he was with the Raiders, but to me, he's got to be healthy. Health has been his issue. Okay, so the Giants clearly got better at that position, but you got to kind of hold your fingers and cross your fingers that the guy's going to be healthy. Dean will shut down Waller. Well, Dean better get off the special teams first before he starts talking about a Pro Bowl tight end. Dean's going to shut down a Pro Bowl tight end when he couldn't get off the punt return team. Okay. Yeah, classic right there. Classic right there. Okay? Classic. Dine's got 4 years, 600. That's crazy. You got to get off the punt return team before you can start talking to me about covering all pro tight ends. I mean, right? Hey, did you see Dean on the kickoff coverage, man? That guy's going to be a hell of a linebacker that's going to cover tight ends. You wait and see. Okay, I will. Dean's undersized. What gave that away? So look, I would still rank the Eagles number one. You know why? Because I think their offense is more dominant. And dominant enough to carry the team. The Commanders are going to, I don't know about you, Tone, but to me, I think the Commanders are going to be an interesting team to keep an eye on. If they get any quarterback play, that team could win the division. That team could win the division. Okay? I mean, they've got some good football players. And if they can the quarterback gives them any kind of decent play, they could be pretty good. Marshall goes, Howie better not let us get outbid by Walmart. Marshall. Hey, wait a minute, Marshall. I have to admit, though, man, Walmart does have more money than the owner of the Eagles, man. He's got more money. Okay? He's got more money. Jalen can outscore anyone except Kansas City. Commander signing JAKIB Brissett. That's a good take, too. Let's throw this. What are they doing at backup quarterback? Because you're going to need one. JAKIB Brissett just went to. Watch this. So JAKIB Brissett just went to Washington. Let me throw this at you here. JAKIB Brissett, Sam Howell, Tyler Heineke. I mean, is there a quarterback between the three of them? Hey, can you kind of put them all three together? Judge, hey, I mean, Tyler Heineke, is Wentz still there, or did they release his ass? I don't remember because I'm not in the Carson Wentz business anymore. Oh, Heineke just signed that contract. That's right, with Atlanta. That's right. He just signed with Atlanta. Good job, guys. That's right. That's right. Tank 23 goes Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Commanders. No, I think it's Eagles, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys. I think the Cowboys finished last place, in my opinion. Yeah, that's right. Wentz got released. So what are you doing at backup? You drafting a guy? Got to draft a guy like Tony Dungy said that resembles a little bit about. So probably drafting a guy because they got to get cheaper there. Probably. Okay. We destroyed Brock Purdy says that Dak is trash unless he plays the Eagles. Then he owns you. Dan, who are your top 5 defenses in the NFL? I'll have to get 49ers right now are number 1. Broncos are going to be in that conversation too. I can't wait to see what CJ's doing here. Got to be some really heavy negotiations going on for this guy. Okay? Got to be some heavy negotiations. He has to have a lot of people on him right now. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think the longer this goes on, it favors the Eagles? They took care of Bradberry right away. Now, if you're CJ Gardner-Johnson, don't you go like this? Oh, man, why didn't they take care of me first? Why was their priority Bradberry? You see, other teams like the Broncos are making him their number 1 priority. That goes a long way, too. You know, when teams want you like that and they're courting you, hey, they took care of Bradberry first. And they didn't take care of you. They could tell you all you want, what you want to hear. They just gave that guy $14 million. And they coming in offering you 12. But you don't think negotiations that other teams are having with the kid, they're not saying that to him? It's like recruiting. You lie all the time to them. Or you tell them what they want to hear. Hey, Bradberry was their number 1 guy, not you. We're offering you $14.5 million, top market value. We're going to build our defense around you. You and Patrick Surtain are going to be our guy. You're going to be our, I don't care what you say, 85. Number 1 priority was not Gardner-Johnson. The number 1 priority was Bradberry and moving Slay and then Gardner-Johnson. That's how they acted. You could say all the shit you want. That's not what they did. Facts. I don't know. T. Washington, I didn't say that. I think it's a coin toss. Now, like I said, now how about this? Someone just brought a good point up. Cody, if you're Jalen, do you wait till next year to do your deal? Do you wait till the season starts? With a handshake and an understanding that we have an agreement in the parameters of an agreement so that you can kind of work some magic here? Because Jalen's got to look at this going, man, a lot of pressure on our offense now to win. Again, you guys may be right. The Eagles may be the best team defensively in the NFL. But you don't know that yet. Last year, you knew it with what you had until March 15th, when all those players officially are no longer on your team. If you're Hurts, do you go and work with the organization? Not saying you're taking haircuts, but don't you go like this? Hey, let's get the team done. And then you come back to me. We got plenty of time here. There's no rush here. Yeah, but I need to know. Well, we're going to be in the $50 million room. Okay. Don't you think the Eagles and Jalen Hurts have a number figured out? Would you guys agree with me? I'll say this to you. Tone, I don't know if you agree with this. You know, I have to think that they have a number worked out. They have a number worked out. Because how we can't go into this retooling and rebuilding Well, they're not having a notion of where Clutch and Jalen are. Don't you think? I agree with you guys. I think they got a kind of a number. And they've got it kind of like a gentleman's agreement on it. You know, I do not believe that Jeffrey Lurie, because he's publicly come out going, he doesn't have to do anything else, man. So to me, that's a little bit of latitude. If I was the player in the building, I'd go, all right, well, let's have the general manager and I have a conversation. Let's go to lunch. And we sit there, and I got my agent with me, kind of informal, and you go, look, it's going to be around 50. Daniel Dimes, nobody. Got that money? Come on. Really? Seriously. And you go, yeah. Okay, well, let me do this. Let me get through free agency first, and then we'll address. Okay. Okay. So I think that they probably agreed. Savvy goes, after CJ signed, we may hear more about Jalen. Now, wait a minute, though. Savvy, how do you know they didn't? See, you guys are missing this, though. Jeffrey, all of you guys, you're missing this. How do you know they didn't get rid of Slay to pay Jalen? Why are you guys assuming it's for CJ Gardner-Johnson? Why are you assuming that? I saw everybody on the internet going like this. Hey, now that Slay's not here, we can go after CJ. Well, how do you know they didn't do that to make more room for Jalen's contract? You know, it's a $26 million cap hit that they're going to defer out over the next 2 years after June 1st. Well, Jalen's contract won't kick in until next year anyway. So how do you know it wasn't for him? Why are you under the assumption it's for Gardner-Johnson? I happen to think it's more for him, but you have to put that in the back of your mind. Why do you always have to put that? Because you got to put that $50 million nugget back there. That's why I said on Monday to you guys, and I'll hold to this, this is going to be one of the biggest weeks in Howie Roseman's career, okay, on how he's going to keep as much. His objective must have been to keep as much as this team as he can together. Now, let's take a look at another angle in this whole thing in free agency, which has started now. It's 32 minutes in, and we haven't heard anything out of Gardner-Johnson yet. And I told you, Broncos, Eagles, from what I'm hearing, is the negotiations going on between those two teams. There could be a third and fourth team. I don't know the other two, but I do know the Broncos. Okay? Let's do this. Remember what I told you on how you build a championship football team. You build a championship football team winning your division first and drafting and signing against your opponents inside your division. Did the Giants get better? Have the Giants gotten better? Scale of 1 to 10? $20 better? Right? 20% better? Okay. Maybe. Again, there's a lot of unknowns on Waller's health. Commanders, the pain sign. Jacoby Brissett, I don't know. I mean, kind of. As of right now, 10%. Right? The Cowboys, Stephon Gilmore. You lose Zeke. That's not a big deal to me. The signing of Gilmore is more of a deal to me than Zeke being cut. Zeke is a nothing burger anymore. Do you know what Ezekiel Elliott reminds me of now? Todd Gurley. He's just a dude. He's Todd Gurley. So the Cowboys, they probably got better because it's more carries for Pollard. Okay, probably more carries for him. The Cowboys are interested in Odell Beckham, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know where they're going to get the money to sign him. Right? $85 brings up a great point. Eagles have 10 days to pick up options for A.J. Brown and Hassan Reddick. If exercise, would save around $25 million in cap space, not to mention Lane's restructure. Yeah, but again, 85, that's not for Gardner-Johnson. That would be for Jalen Hurts. What's more of a priority right now? Freeing up money to sign your guy, Jalen Hurts? Or Gardner-Johnson? What's the priority right now? I'll ask you guys that. What's the priority? Freeing money up to sign Gardner-Johnson? Or making cap space for Hurts? That's right. Yale's right. The money's for Hurts. It's not for Gardner-Johnson. It's for Hurts. The quarterback's the priority, isn't it? CJ right now don't work that way, vet. It doesn't work that way. Because you've got to put a signing bonus together. Let's just put it to you this way. If they sign Jalen Hurts to a $250 million deal, over half of that will be guaranteed. Okay, you're talking about $135, $45 million in guarantees. Gardner-Johnson, what? Polly goes, stay hating. No, you got to make it. See, what Polly doesn't get is you got to make one choice or the other. You can't do both. She thinks it's or he thinks it's a monopoly game. It ain't. This comes down to priority. The quarterback is always going to be the main priority here. That's why you go shopping at the dollar store for Rashad Penny. They saved $1 million on that deal. You know that? Instead of paying Miles Sanders $2.5 million, they're now paying to do 1.3. So they saved about $1 million on that deal. That's right. This is a salary cap league. You know, you've got to, it's like a NASCAR race. You get a certain amount of gasoline to go 500 miles. And if you run out of gas, you're out of the race. That's what this is too. The key is having gas for the last 2 laps. That's what working in a salary cap world is. Without the Birds' offensive line, Hurts is average. Probably true. I wouldn't say average. I wouldn't use the word average on Jalen. He's an exceptional player. Elite, not. Because he's not going to do what the guy does in Kansas City. Like Jalen Hurts with this football team that they have right now, even if Gardner-Johnson comes back, he's not winning 14 games with that team. Not happening. That team will be torched on defense. You think you had problems stopping a run? You wait till you get a load of them. That 34 they're going to run with Davis at the nose. I'll show you what they're going to do. They'll blow that defense up. And your safety play? Okay, if Gardner-Johnson's back there, okay, Blankenship and him, that's not bad. You got a rookie corner. You're going to probably have 2 rookie linebackers. Got to get some depth in your line, unless you're going to bring Sue and Linville Joseph back. Yale says they'll put up points. Probably. I would say that the Eagles, for them to win 12 games this year, are going to have to average around 35 points, north of 35, and hope that defense doesn't give up 27 points, 28. That team right there, that defensive team, you're hoping that they give up less than 25 points, 26 points. You're hoping for that. Okay? You're hoping for that. Okay? You're hoping that they give up less than 27. If you give up less than 27 and you're scoring 35, then you got to go with turnovers and time of possession. And somebody brought a great point up about last year's defense. Did last year's defense, were they the benefactor of the long plays and the sustained drives that they put together a year? Yes, they were. Yes, they were. They were a benefactor of that offense. They were a benefactor. Now, I thought the defense, especially towards the postseason, I thought they started playing. The Giant game, they were really good. 49er game, they wrecked the game. They wrecked the game. Hassan Reddick ruined any chance for the 49ers in that ball game. Seals, you love negativity, and I don't want to hear. I'm just keeping it real. I'm not negative. I'm keeping it real. What you don't like is reality. I'm talking reality here. Boy, I'm pretty shocked about your market. Nobody talks to you in truths. Talk to you in bullshit flag waving. It's crazy. The reason I talk about the birds is because they're polarizing and it's phenomenal content. What in your wildest imagination would you ever hope that I hope they suck? Why? So you don't have to have passion about your team and cover the union? People are out of their minds. Well, he hates the Eagles. And I talk about them because I like them. When you don't, like, Rashad Penny is a nothing burger. You don't talk about shit like that. Jalen Hurts, his story, how he rebuilding, retooling. A Super Bowl team that was built on 18 free agents and one-year deals. What are they doing with Gardner-Johnson? Slay released. I don't know about you, but that's pretty good content. How would you like to cover the Jets? Well, hey, right now, Aaron Rodgers, look what the Aaron Rodgers has done for the Jets. It's the first time anyone's talking about the Jets since Joe Namath. Oh, wait. Sexy Rexy's tattoo. Okay? Sexy Rexy's tattoo. And Joe Namath. Are you kidding? Sills hopes that the Eagles have failed. Are you nuts? Okay? You don't cover things that blow. Nobody cares about shit. Do you like bad sandwiches? How many times you walk into a bad sandwich shop? Hey, give me the bad sandwich again for the 10th day in a row. I'm out. I discovered Jersey Mike's. I'm in. Yeah. A little one goes like this. We're F this year, Big Sills. Little one, I'll tell you this. If you were in the AFC, it'd be a tough. It would be a tough road to get back to the Super Bowl. In the NFC, once again, hey, you don't want to know with one of the surprise teams that I think are going to be? The Lions. But they're the land of unknown too. Look at all the unknowns in the NFC. The Eagles are an unknown. And the only thing the Eagles have, watch this, is the fact that Jalen Hurts is continuing to get better. And they haven't lost. I'll tell you this. It was clearly a priority on that side of the ball to make sure that you're not going to lose too many dudes. The problem that you have, you're losing an all-pro guard and you're losing an all-pro running back. That's a problem. Okay? That's a problem. Lions, unknown. What's this? Hey, I'm going to hate to say this because you guys were right. I was wrong. Here, watch this. I can't bring up the Vikings and not start laughing. I can't bring up the Vikings and start. But watch this. The Vikings? Okay. They just signed a guy. Did they get the kid Davenport? Did they get the kid Davenport? The Vikings, 49ers, every one of these teams has a question mark. Right? I've watched every Eagle game since 65. This was the best roster ever. And Gannon wasted it. Oh, Marina, you had it right there. How much do they pay Jefferson? I'm hearing $30 million. Hey, Charlie. You know what Charlie goes, they melted like ice cream in July. I thought it got colder up in Minnesota as you got closer towards December and shit. As a matter of fact, I know because I've played up there. They were supposed to be getting hotter. Their city and their team got colder. Yeah, Mojo goes like this. The Niners have no quarterback, and yet they've been to 3 NFC title games in the last 5 years. I know, but they still keep getting there. You keep saying that, but the reason they have the best roster, the 49ers have the best roster in the NFL right now. They have the best roster. Best roster. They have a superstar wideout, superstar tight end, superstar running back, superstar offensive tackle, superstar edge rusher. They've got a really good D tackle now. They've got a superstar linebacker. They've got a superstar safety. Superstar? Eagles have A.J. Brown, superstars, Kelsey and Lane, Jalen. Bradberry, a superstar? I don't know. He's awful good, though. Brian, yeah, and Brian, you're right. Brian, you're right. You got a phenomenal team with no head on it. Devontae, yeah, Goddard's a superstar. Goddard's a superstar. He is. I saw somebody bringing up that Waller is one of the better tight ends in the NFL. No, it was Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp goes like this. Yeah, the guy in Baltimore, Kittle, Kelsey, and Waller. He didn't bring up Goddard. And I was like, wow. So Shannon Sharp doesn't think Goddard's a star. I thought that, I don't know, I really like Dallas Goedert. I'm a fan of Dallas Goedert. I am. Okay? I am. 85. I know. You know, I know. Let me say something about the Aaron Rodgers move. It affects the Eagles. Got one less dude to have to worry about in that conference. You think the Packers are going anywhere with Jordan Love? Wow. Talk about the land of unknown. Talk about the land of unknown. I mean, can you imagine that they just went like this? Okay. But you know what? You got to say something about Green Bay. And here it goes. They are terrible. How do you guys feel that the Eagles are when it comes to players like Fletcher Cox? Who's the offensive tackle that's now in Dallas? What's his name? And guys that leave and go places, and guys that were really good mainstays. How do you think the Eagles deal with players when they leave the building? How do you think they are here? Jason Peters, thank you, Tone. How do you think they handle that when a guy leaves? TJ Edwards, these guys, how do you think they wish them well? Do you think they're good? Right? You think they're good in how they handle it? Green Bay's terrible. Clay Matthews, AJ Hawk, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they have no professionalism to them. Okay? And I'm not giving Aaron Rodgers a hall pass because he's a Fruit Loop too. Okay? He is. I do, man. I think the Eagles do a really nice job, man, at guys that put their time in. And if they want to leave and go somewhere else, and watch this. I think they're going to have nothing but the most respect in the planet for Fletcher Cox. If Fletcher wants to go somewhere else and maybe try to chase a ring somewhere else, making more money, I think the Eagles are going to go, more power to you. He'll be welcome back. I think they were going to say this to Brandon Graham if Brandon Graham had signed that contract with the Cleveland Browns. He knew Andrew Berry was there. He knew Andrew Berry was a former Eagle executive. I think those guys would have been like this. Hey, man, if you're going to make more money and you want to go play there and you want to play in that situation, you go right ahead. He'd have been welcomed back. Okay, he'd have welcomed them all back, right? I think Green Bay handles their guys like shit. Another example of a guy walking out the door. And Rodgers today, I heard him. He was with Pat McAfee. He goes, I went into this seclusion thing. I was thinking about what I wanted to do, whether if I was going to play. He goes, my notion was I was going to play in Green Bay and nowhere else. All of a sudden, when I stopped, I started seeing all these text messages that Green Bay, and then all of a sudden I started hearing Green Bay wanted to move on. I didn't want to move on, but now I've accepted the fact, and I'm really horribly hurt that we're moving on. Okay, well, now I want to play for the Jets. It's the Packers holding him up. But you see, you don't get that narrative because the media is not going to cover that, because you know why? They're going to – certain people like LeBron James and Aaron Rodgers and guys are used as a whipping post. Russell Westbrook. All those legendary players are used as whipping post. Like, how, you know what? I don't like LeBron James's politics, but how could you rip the guy's career? Honestly, how can you rip LeBron's career? You can't. It's impossible. He's never been in trouble. He's never done anything wrong. Is he a diva? Who cares? Is he win? He's got 4 NBA titles, 3 with 3 different teams. How do you shit on that? I can't. But people do. You can't rip LeBron. You can't rip Brady. You can't rip Rodgers. These guys are first ballot Hall of Famers, but yet people do. And it's because they just you pick on people that are relevant. You don't pick on people that are not relevant. So you've got to make a crazy narrative on them. Okay? You got to make this crazy narrative. LeBron is just not a clutch guy. He only cares about himself. That's so dumb. Brian's right. Brian, you can rip anybody. But Brian, I'd like to have a little bit of an opinion and some facts. This is why you guys always say this to me. You're right, Yale, it's sports. People always say this to me, Big Cells. Man, you changed your opinion. I changed my opinion because the player changed his game. Why wouldn't you change your opinion? If a player like Jalen Hurts doesn't play as great as he did in his second year, in his first year, and he has a horrible playoff game against the Bucs, and the guy gets better, how don't you change your opinion on him? That's not flip-flopping. That's the player getting better. Isn't that common sense? And isn't that reality? It's not flip-flopping. Sills, you said Hassan Reddick sucked. I did, because in the first 6 games, he stunk. Then they figured it out. He elevated his game. He got better. I'm supposed to say he still sucked? I've never subscribed to that. That's old fart sports talk. Guys that get entrenched in takes and stay there forever. Like Bayless. Tune on one day. Do me a favor. Tune on Undisputed. Here's their show. You want me to map out tomorrow's show? Watch this, Yale. Here's tomorrow's Undisputed. Ripping on Russell Westbrook. Ripping on the Lakers. Aaron Rodgers. Cowboys. There's your show. It's like clockwork. People go, why do you talk about Hurts? Hurts is getting better. Hurts is going to get $50 million. My aunt asks me this all the time. She goes, Hurts. I go, quarterback's the most important position on any football team. The Eagles got embarrassed by Carson Wentz. They're hoping that Hurts erases all of that. Get this, they want him to succeed in Philly. The fan base wants him. So I cover him. So what do you think I'm going to do if I was covering the Jets? Covered Lazard or Aaron Rodgers? Use your brain sometimes. Not you guys, because you guys get me. But if you tune on a sports talk station in Philadelphia, you got these old guys talking, well, I said that this guy here, and they'll still hold to him sucking, and he doesn't. Jalen Hurts went from being a marginal football player who struggled at finding open people, Troy Aikman said it in the playoff game, to a guy who has 2 1,000-yard receivers because of his play, and created a system in Philadelphia that he is the system. Jalen Hurts is not a product of some system. He is the system. He is the system. Kadeem goes, why don't people like Carson Wentz? Kadeem, I'll tell you easily. You ever been in a room where a guy likes half the room and doesn't acknowledge the other half? And you have to rely on that other half of the room just as you do the one half of the room to be successful? I mean, Jalen Hurts connects with every human being in that locker room, like Tom Brady did. You could be a cornerback. What was the first thing Tom Brady did when he got to Tampa? He got the roster from Jason Light, the general manager, of every guy with their phone number. You know what he did? He called every one of them and said, thanks for welcoming me in here, man. I hope we have a really great opportunity to win a Super Bowl. And he did. But he connected with every guy in the locker room. It wasn't just 53, it was 85. Hurts is that guy. I'll tell you what Howard Eskin said to me on this program, and I disagreed with him 1,000%. He said that he always questioned Jalen Hurts' commitment to success. He'll lie to you and say he didn't say it. I have it. Because he transferred. And I said this to him. I go, actually, I thought he was a better teammate. And to me, I had more respect as a guy who played the game for a guy sticking it out, getting his degree, being a great teammate, and then getting his opportunity like Russell Wilson did. When he went to Wisconsin, he went to Oklahoma and was a runner-up to the Heisman. I had more respect for Hurts after that because Hurts was a great teammate to Tua Tagovailoa. To me, I got more respect. A guy like Howard Eskin lost respect for him. I was like, man, I don't see it that way. I didn't see it that way. How many people do you see when you get a guy like a quarterback who was a Southeastern Conference Player of the Year, get his job taken away from him. Okay? Getting his job taken away from him, and he turns into a shitty teammate. That wasn't Hurts. That wasn't Jalen Hurts. Topic: Jalen Carter has rough pro day. Came in 9 pounds overweight and couldn't finish drills due to cramping and heavy breathing. Tone just said was a rough. If Jalen Carter falls to 10, he could. If Jalen Carter falls to 10, here's what I would say. My interview would matter. Here's what I would do if I was in that Eagle personnel office and I had Jalen Carter on my list of guys to work out and give my report to Howie on. This is what I would say. Watch his tape. He's the best defensive lineman in the last 3 years Georgia's produced. He's a Jerome Brown type player. He's got all the intangibles to make the play on the field at any given moment. He could play in a 3 technique, a 0 technique, a 1 technique, or a shade. There's nothing or anything that this guy can do, and he's better, in my opinion, than Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis may be more of a physical athlete. Jalen Carter's more of a football player. As for his combines, how much do you take into the combines on what a football player is? I didn't know going to Gold's Gym or Muscle Beach was where I got football players from. To me, my conversation with him would matter. And I would also say this. I would think his legal issues probably kept him up at night, probably not focused, rightfully so for a young kid. I would wonder how focused I would be if I knew I had legal issues. A guy died. Did I feel responsible? I'm sure he's a good kid. I start with that. Until I find out he's a dick or a bad kid, I don't come from the other angle on the media people and say the kid's a bad kid. I come from the fact that I don't know. I'm hoping he's a good kid. And if he's been a good teammate and what people have said about him, that's why when you hear guys like Todd McShay talking, how would Todd McShay know about anything about Jalen Carter? What? Somebody from a friend of a friend of a friend said he was a jackass? That's not how I'm going on people. So to me, I need to get a personal relationship. And I've said this to people numerous times, and I'll say it again to you. Joe Madden taught me a lesson a long time ago. I said, Joe, how do you motivate every single one of those guys in the locker room? He goes, you know why? All 24, 25 guys, I've got to have personal relationships with these guys because when I'm being constructive, I do not ever want them to come from an angle that I'm being destructive. I never want them to think I'm being destructive. I'm here to help them become the best player they can. The only way you can help a player become the best player he can become is having a personal relationship with that man. You don't have to be best friends, but you got to know who he is. How can you motivate somebody when you don't know what their likes and dislikes are and you don't know what kind of man they are? People don't want to take that effort to do that. Okay? They don't go the extra mile. And I agree. Who said that? Neil. I would talk to Nakobe and I would talk to Jordan Davis. They ate with him. They were on the road with him. They won games with him. They won national championships with him. And I would get their true assessment. And I would ask them, honestly, what kind of man is he? I don't want to know what kind of football player he is. I see it on tape. It's the only way to get players to play to their highest ability is to know who the kid is. I already see the 20 yards of tape. I told you, there's certain guys that are 20 yards of tape. I don't need to see more than 20 yards. Once I got 20 yards of tape on you, I know who you are. Watching a guy run over bags and watching a guy do wind sprints, I don't know. Give me the tape. Give me the tape. That kid falls to 10. and he's not held any kind of liability, I don't give a shit what he did. But I also want to do this to him. My problem with Jalen Carter is decision making. Okay? It's decision making. You're going to be the number one. Do you understand that he was projected to be potentially the number one pick in the draft? And he may fall to 10. I'm not thinking 10 seconds about not taking that guy. I'm not even thinking twice about it. Shit, man, if I'm sitting at 10 and he's at 9, I don't know. And I need to replace Javon Hargrave. And I got 2 guys on rookie contracts. You know, I got to tell you, watch this. Who would you rather pay? Javon, here, one last thing before I take a timeout. Who would you rather pay? Javon Hargrave? Tone, you too, man. Who would you rather pay? Javon Hargrave, $22 million? Or would you rather pay on rookie contracts Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter? One guy 22, the other guy 21. You could have 2 guys in the middle of your defense for the next 10 years. And you got them on rookie contracts. And somebody you kind of build your team around. Dude, Howie Roseman lands on that guy. We're talking about a good – that changes my opinion. I got to take a timeout. I want to reset everything. Okay? Do me a favor. Let's do this here. Slay tweeted about me? Did he? I'm sure he did. Hour number 3. Keep it here on the National Football Show.